Welcome to our very special webinar today. Thank you for making the time this afternoon. I know everyone has a very busy schedule. However, I am 100% confident that you will not regret making this time today because we have a very special guest calling here all the way from Uruguay, right? From Montevideo, Renee Zonneveld. And Renee is going to chat with me about his latest book, The Elephant in the Family Room. Renee, at this point, I just want to introduce you briefly, and then we are going to launch into this very exciting conversation. Welcome, everyone. Just a reminder, and I know that quite a few of you follow us in this Rethinking Work series, but just a reminder that as we move along in our fireside chat, please put your questions in the Q&A tab, and we will be able to address them at the end of our conversation here. And I know it will create a very dynamic discussion. Also, as you are logging in, as always in the chat, we would love you to just signal where you're calling from so that we know how broad and wide our reach is with our webinars. But at this point, by the way, another reminder, this presentation, this conversation is being recorded. It will be posted on our YouTube channel, as well as shared with you through the email. Without further ado, Renee, welcome to our NYU community.
Yeah, thank you so much, Anna, and thank you for having me here today in this distinguished forum.
Thank you. So let me give people a little bit of the background on you, even though we did send your bio out there, but I will just want to focus on key points that I think are very relevant to this conversation. First, you are a very global person. I mean, for somebody who is Dutch, living in Montevideo, traveling all over the world, and having a broad variety of clients all over the world, just listening to you, and I travel a lot, but listening to you makes me very jealous of all the places that you've been. But you started your career in banking, international banking, right? And the big name companies you worked for are UBS, Deutsche Bank, Citi. And what you did in your first career was really work with high net worth families, individuals, and legal advice, financial advice to those families. And that's where the association with family business usually comes from. But for most of us who just recently watched Succession and are watching other families, family affairs playing out on the screen, at some point you made your transition into coaching those families. And you basically are the founder, if not the name associated with this new generation of coaching high net worth individuals, families on the interfamily dynamics. So tell us how you made that transition. What was that light bulb that came off?
Yeah. So thank you, Anna, and you humble me with all your nice comments. So thanks again for that. I worked part of my life. I started actually my career as a tax lawyer, and then I pivoted working with some as an executive with large families, and then I transitioned into the private banking world, where I was not so much advising people on their finance, but more kind of the structures to keep the families together, to keep the wealth together, like trust and foundations, and things like family governance and so on. And I think, and again, I say this humbly, technically I was well skilled to deal with the technical issues that typically families would ask us and which we would advise on as bankers. But also very frequently, I saw that there was much more going on than, hey, we need a trust or we need something, an offshore company or something to better protect our wells or to build a system to get the wells in a responsible way to the next generation and so on. And I remember one very particular moment that I was sitting with a family in Chile, and I had a trusted relationship with them, and we had good conversations. But I felt that there was this tension in the room. There was this something that was going on, and I felt it intuitively, but I didn't want to step on it. I didn't want to step into that conversation, and so I kept it superficial. But the family expected more. They already, trusted me to be transactional with them, you know, to put part of their wells in structures and whatever. But actually, they needed something else, and that something else was very emotional. I felt it was emotional, but I didn't know how to address that, and it frustrated me. It felt that I was not at best service to my clients, and um, and just out sheer curiosity, I started to study about emotions. That sounds weird, right? I mean, you're human, you should know emotions. You felt frustrations and pain and angst and happiness and so on. But anyhow, I didn't know how they worked. And the best thing I could think about was to study neuroscience, to understand what's the chemistry behind emotions. How do they manifest themselves in the body? And then I went on a wild goose chase of other stuff like sociology and high performance sports psychology, because I was curious to understand. And the more I start, let's say, understanding a little bit about that, the more I realized that this is really what I like to do, to be in that space, helping people working through their emotions. Because I also realized that if you do not get that right, if you do not get that conversation right in a family system, you can have the best structures in the world, but they won't hold. So that was kind of my pathway into that world that later became kind of my coaching practice.
Yeah, thank you so much for sharing. And I think a lot of people on this call now, I can just see the names and recognize a few have similar type of experiences. Usually people arrive at that place later in their career when they, again, hit the wall of that understanding that something else needs to happen here, not just the transactional side of business. And so, what you said about your book at one point, I think captures exactly the nature of the work that you're doing now. And you said that at that point of transition and maybe confusion and search, you wish there was a book like that available to you. Because in every family room, there is an elephant. And it needs to be addressed if all the other pieces need to come together. And
Yes.
and I suspect that that's what led you to coaching. At some point, you realize that all of that science, all of that knowledge and research, et cetera, has to come together and kind of help you with the technology or methodology of how to access that secret that the family shares, that silence in the room that needs to be exposed and released, right?
Yeah. And Anna, thanks for mentioning that. And that's the light bulb moment that I did not mention yet. So I was in this goose chase. I learned a lot, and I was really deeply interested in that. In the meantime, I continued working with some large families that I had. I was, let's say, their trusted advisor. I was not working banks. I was already independent at that moment. And and one moment I was working with a German family in Stuttgart, and the patriarch, he said to me, he was 80 years old, and his kids, he spoke about his kids, right? They're 55 years old, very well educated, and so on. And he said to me, Rene, more than a father to my children, I'm their coach. That was my light bulb moment. That was kind of, wow, coaching. And of course, I heard about coaching, but sometimes you need a lever for a coin to fall. Well, the coin fell at that moment. And I started to become highly interested in coaching. The more I studied coaching, I realized that within that coaching wrapper, I could wrap all my skills and experience, and call them, by the way, the good, the bad, and the ugly of my life, right? Everything I did, everything I learned, I could wrap that in coaching. And now I had a clear message to my clients of what I was serving them.
Yeah, thank you so much. The next question I have to you is, do you think that family business requires a different kind of coaching? Because coaching, ICF, and you are a master MCC coach, you've met all of the requirements of kind of baseline certification at the top level of accreditation. However, what struck me when I got your book for the first time was in every coaching, needs its own kind of needs to be developed for the niche, for a specific application. And I think you kind of play in that sandbox of family coaching. So what's so different there?
Yeah. So to start with, the coaching techniques, the one-on-one coaching techniques that we are trained for as especially as ICF credentialed coaches is the same. I mean, when you work with individuals, then the add-on is team coaching. I'm a certified team coach. There are many great certified team coaches in the world, and that's enormously important, because you constantly work at the intersection of the individual and the collective. And that can be a corporate team, but in a family system, that is the same, because you work with individuals and you work with the family systems. But the additional here is that you also work with families. And families are different from corporates because you're born into that. There's this whole history, all this emotional baggage that you lived with. There are different branches in the families, and there are frustrations sometimes, and there are unspoken emotions and stuff going on there, and there's jealousy, and maybe there's greed, and one branch of the family made a mistake, and now we lost a bunch of money, and we will not forget that, and we don't speak about it. So there's this whole thing, and then there's something else. If you don't like it really, it's not really that you can go and look for another family to work for, right, or to become a member of. You're in the family, and that makes the emotion that we deal with in this enterprise family coaching space so incredibly dynamic and deep and interesting, and a bit different from what you typically would do when you're coaching teams.
Yes, and that is very important. Um, you don't fire your own family, right? You you may stop talking to them, but at the end of the day, that's with you all the time. And so let me ask you this question. It seems like there's a whole spectrum of services that, especially high net worth families, with pedigrees and legacies, etc., um, complex systems. So the services that they receive, and even in my own conversations with my colleagues, are, as you said, transactional, like taxes and money management and succession and trusts and all kinds of legal services associated with that where you started. And how is it different if you are a coach to that system? How is it different from, let's say, therapy? You might want to say, if people have psychological issues, why don't they get a therapist? And there are just as many, services that will be happy to assist. Where do you see the difference between, as I said, it's a whole continuum from very transactional to psychiatrists working with some extreme cases and everything in between. Where do you situate coaching?
Yeah, so one of the things, and it's a big distinction, is I don't work with psychological problems. So if let's say there's a deep trauma and pain and whatever, people are depressed or they feel deeply unhappy, that's not my space. They're great therapists to work with this. So psychological problems, I don't work with. Psychological dynamics, yes, I work with. And that's different. There's a big difference between kind of how do we talk to each other, what do we not say to each other because of certain reasons, what is it that we are trying to protect in a conversation, in which level of dynamics are we talking as a family, are we talking now as an emotional dynamics, are we talking as personal dynamics, are we talking family dynamics, are we talking corporate dynamics. Building those separations are fundamental. So, and that's very different. I think that, I mean, and by the way, there are probably great therapists out there that maybe do some of the work. But I am not entering into trauma. I take a family as they are today. And what is it where we want to get it? What's at risk for us? What are our blind spots as a family? What's happening at this moment? And how can we repair that? How can we learn to repair that in order for us to move forward, to be sustainable, to stay together, not only today, but also in the future? And obviously, the families I work with, and that's maybe also different from a family therapist. A family therapist, and I'm now very generalizing, and I apologize to the family therapists, right? But the family therapist, often they work in marriage dynamics. People are unhappy or dynamics with kind of there's a really bad kind of relationship with parents and a child, and they don't understand what's going on there and why the child is so unhappy and so on. In my case, there's one additional dynamic. I work with enterprise families, right? So these are families that own a business or several businesses. And that realm, that dynamic, that circle, the famous three circles that we have often, shareholders, executives, and family members, that intersection with the enterprise is often that creates that additional layer of problems. Some of the problems that I encounter in enterprise families probably won't have that in families, normal families that do not own an enterprise. Why? Because the enterprise, in the end, becomes the battleground for the stuff that families cannot talk about within the family itself. So whenever there's an issue, and I call families at that level, often I call them very good escape artists. They evade the problems or they take off the edges of the problems, and then they start talking about the financial performance of the company or some legal issues or whatever. They're very good at evading the hard internal family issues. So there's a big difference there between therapy, pure therapy, and what I do as a enterprise family coach.
Fantastic. So, all of these families work with like financial advisors, legal advisors, et cetera, et cetera. And the mission of those professionals is to reduce uncertainty for the families and come up with solutions and take care of legal issues, et cetera, et cetera. It seems like as a coach, when you step into that space, you're trying to do the opposite. You are trying to unearth that uncertainty and let families face it so that they're not scared, they're not escaping from those, but learn the skills of dealing with those uncertainties. And you coach them, that kind of courage, that kind of comfort with transparency, right? It seems like, and you worked and you started out in the advisory role and you ended up in the coaching role. So I think you're comfortable. How do these dynamics work for you?
Yeah, that's a really great observation and question also. And so I've been standing on both sides of the pond, actually, right? And in both cases, it's about trust, but it's a very different kind of trust. So, I used to be a banker, and also I advised families when I was still working as a tax lawyer in my earlier years. And in that role, people or families, they trust you to reduce uncertainty, maybe protect assets, bring some structures, create tax efficiency. And for those families, there's a lot of value in that. And that's why there's a huge space in the world for people working as financial planners, wealth advisors, accountants, lawyers, trust advisors, and so on. But my role now is different. Families, they usually call me when they already sense that something important is not working well within the family system. They're somehow stuck, right? And they bring me in because somewhere in the family, they already feel that something important is not being said. I was in another country last week, exactly the same conversation. And so I'm and I'm not coming in to make things comfortable right away. I'm coming in to help them make something speakable. And that speakability, that needs resilience, because in the beginning it's uncomfortable. But the more they do it, the better it gets. Families build resilience, the resilience they did not have to affront these issues. And to do that, trust matters enormously. And part of that comes from credibility. So, I understand the world of the ultra high net worth individuals. I understand wealth, I understand governance and succession and family dynamics. So I come in and they do not have to educate me. And that matters because people do not open up if they feel misunderstood from the start. But that's only the beginning. The deeper trust comes when they feel I am not there to judge them. I'm there to help them look at something difficult together without shame, without panic, without frustrations. And very often I'll say something slightly uncomfortable early on, and I just wait what happens, right? And if these and I stay curious rather than defensive. And if I don't flinch at that moment, in that moment of shared, let's say, discomfort, that's also where those families start to understand that I can hold whatever comes up and they won't be destabilized by it. So this is a very different from the professional trust based on expertise alone. It's more humane, because what they are really trusting me with is not just a problem to fix. It's something they have been protecting or
Hiding.
protecting actually for a long time.
Yeah, there is a question here that I want to kind of weave into this conversation. So, to kind of differentiate the types of families you work with are those that are connected with businesses. Do you feel that the dynamic and some of the insights that you offer in your book and in your practice apply to all kinds of families, regardless of whether they're, managing a business as that third dimension that you mentioned, or this is something specific to family businesses?
So I work especially in that space of family business, but let me give you an example and just to show how this can affect business, but also how this could be a pure family situation. And I wrote about this one in my book. I call it The Desk. I was working many years ago with a family, and there were two brothers, and they were selling their company. And when we're all sitting there, financial advisors and public notaries and bankers, because it was a big transaction. And we were sitting around the table, and the first brother had signed the deed of sale. And the second brother, with the pen in his hand, he said to his first brother, they were 70 years old, just to give them put in the context. He said, you know, the desk that was that's in the office, I will take that with me. And the first brother said, what do you mean the desk, you take it with you? I have been sitting behind the desk the last 40 years. I was administrating the business while you were in the field. They were selling a very, very big farm. And the first brother said, you know, no, 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 but you don't remember. When I was 8 years old, I was sitting, you know, on my father's leg, and he was doing, we call this hoopa hoopa, you know, like horse riding. And behind, and that father, he said to me, son, when you're old or a big man, this desk is yours. Well, the first brother said, you know, come on, you can't do that. I've been there, you know, this is my desk and blah, blah, blah. What do you think happened, Anna?
I think you need to step in and help. I mean, obviously,
No, no, but what happened in that moment?
in that moment, I mean, were they fighting for the
Yeah,
desk?
yes, they were fighting for a desk, right? In a farm office. Well, anyhow, the second brother didn't sign the deed. They had a huge fight. 2 years later, they sold the farm. Instead of $70 million, they sold it for $50 million. That desk cost
Because
them
of the desk.
$20 million.
Yeah.
Now, this was not about the desk, obviously. This was kind of the last moment that they somehow felt that they have leverage on each other to bring out stuff that was unspoken, that was stuck here. It was not stuck here. Stuck here was, you know, sign it, get your paycheck, finito, right? But it was stuck in their heart, in their deep there, in their belly. And so, yes, does this happen in families? I've seen families fighting in inheritance, not for the business, for the ashtray in the living room, right? It's not about the ashtray. There's something much deeper behind that. So, can this coaching also work in families? Oh, yes, it can. Absolutely.
Yeah, a very good point. And the question I have also is you work globally. You know, the clients come from all different cultural backgrounds, et cetera, and you yourself traveled all over the world and speak multiple languages, et cetera. How does the culture, the knowledge of the culture, the ability to relate to these different clients affect the impact that your coaching makes?
Yeah. And culture is important. I mean, it's quite different if you work with a family in Dubai or you work with a family in New York or in Buenos Aires. So culture is important. There's a cultural aspect that very often has to do with hierarchy, with respect for the elders, with not losing face. Sometimes it has to do with some religious aspects of how the family values run and so on. So you have to have a certain sensitivity to that to understand the way you address a meeting. But underneath of that, the emotions are exactly the same. Jealousy is jealousy, greed is greed, fear of letting go is fear of letting go, and so on and so on. So that underlying force, these underlying psychological dynamics, those emotions, they're exactly the same. Doesn't matter if you're in Japan or you are in Los Angeles.
Yeah,
But
fascinating.
you have to have a certainly a certain you know cultural understanding. Yes.
Yeah, no, that's interesting. And as you know, based on statistics, and I didn't bring any numbers here, but that's kind of the fact. The majority of businesses in the world are actually family businesses,
Yeah.
or at least they're started by families. And even the publicly traded companies in the United States, like Walmart, is basically a family business. And behind
Oh, yes.
a lot of these brand names, I mean, you think of Amazon was started by a married couple, right? And you take any one of those companies. However, if you think of the curriculum of the business school, it will be primarily, business models, et cetera, et cetera. And do you think that, our education, business professional education, is missing out on this whole psychological dynamic and the tools to deal with those issues that coaching allows us to have? Do you think that that's an opportunity to really bring that next level of effectiveness into the overall business consulting or business work that we do inside businesses, HR? Yeah.
Yeah. Um, yes, absolutely. I'm full in with that. The thing is, I also did my business school, my MBA, and this stuff they don't teach you. And I think it's business schools have a huge opportunity, or universities have a huge opportunity to teach more of that, of that literacy into the emotions and also kind of in my case, is to understand what you can do when you are sitting in a room and it gets uncomfortable. By the way, that could happen in a board as well. So, can you stay present when there's tension? Can you resist the urge to fix things too fast? Hey, let me tell you how smart I am. Let me try to fix this. I was a fixer. I was a 100% fixer until I started pivoting away in this new way of helping serving my clients. So I think there's a huge opportunity, and I wish as a banker or as a tax lawyer that I would have known just a little bit more of this stuff. And I would like to say this. Most of the professionals I work alongside with, because I don't take over the work of lawyers or advisors, accountants, right? So most of the people, and very often they bring me in, so most of the professionals I work alongside with, they are already trusted by these families. They have deep, trusted, long-standing relationships. But what they often don't have is a framework for the moment when the conversation stops being about transaction and starts being about something harder. And that's actually a small but a very specific skill set. So you don't need to become a master certified coach or whatever. It's not about becoming a therapist, but it's about getting a little bit more range. Because sometimes one better question is more valuable than one more technical answer. And this can be taught. And the professionals that develop them don't just serve the clients better, they become irreplaceable to the families they work with. So it will just, strengthen the relationship to this level of, to maybe use a, trusted advisor, a kind of consigliere to the family, where you have this deep technical skills, but you can also, open the conversations in other directions. So yes, I think universities could absolutely add a bit more of that skill training towards that. And if you just think how many people are working in the wealth management industry, how many lawyers are advising families, how many accountants are working, people in family offices, financial planners, trust specialists. I don't have the number, but just kind of quick and dirty, hundreds of thousands all over the world, right? And they don't have lots of training in that, or zero training. Something else, just to come back, you mentioned about family-owned businesses. And maybe we could say family-owned businesses or family-influenced businesses. I don't have the exact number, but it circles around 70% of the global GDP is fits in that category. 70%, about 80% of the global workforce, 80%, Anna, somehow is, working in family-owned or family-related businesses. The majority of the shares traded in the French stock exchange in Paris, in the CAC, in the Frankfurter Börse, and so on in New York, they are family influenced or family majority owned. It's gigantic. And so we bring great people, we train up great people at universities to become MBA, economist, financial specialist, and so on. And we spend maybe less than 5% or less on this in this area. So I think it's huge. And there's a competitive advantage to those who get it.
Absolutely. And in that case, Renee, there is obviously what you're talking about is the skill set that you could that are sort of adjacent to your core competency of an advisor in whatever specialty it is. But you are being hired as a coach, not to give financial advice or any other. In fact, I know that families bring you in not because they need yet another expert with just additional skill set, but they just want your dedicated attention to these family dynamics, obviously with all the understanding of the underlying structures. But at what point do they come to the realization that that's a different skill set, that you need a different individual, different personality type to kind of bring into that family system to enable all the other, functions of the family business to actually succeed?
Yeah, well, they come to that insight because, and these people, they're by themselves, they're well trained very often. I mean, you go to these family systems and they're lawyers and accountants and MBAers inside the family. They have the best advisors money can buy in the world. I'm talking about the big families, right? I mean, just to make a point, right? So they have all that, they're surrounded by that. But then still, there's this tension that nobody resolves. There's this differentiation between, well, let's just say a family, you have a family system, 6 branches, and 2 branches, they want to sell the shares. And the conversation very often goes then about, oh, you want to sell the shares and whatever, and they make a fight, and frequently the companies, they don't have the liquidity, that amount of liquidity just to buy out 30% of their shareholders, and it creates big problems. But the conversation is never about what are these shareholders that want to sell, what are they protecting at this moment? What is it really that they need? So the conversations become very quickly technical, and very quickly accountants and lawyers sit around the table. But there is no deeper conversation about what is each family member protecting. And then, it's also what you see a lot is I see families that they have world-class governance structures. They have beautifully designed family constitutions. They have shareholders agreements drafted by the best lawyers in the world. And you know what? They're still tearing each other apart. Because maybe governance is the architecture, but communication is the foundation on which it sits. And if the foundation is correct, if people cannot speak honestly to each other, the architecture, the legal structure doesn't hold. It looks maybe good from the outside, but inside it is dangerous. It's unsafe for people. It is toxic, and the house can, crumble. And that's what the elephant is. It lives in that gap between meeting the agenda and the real conversation. And most families have learned, sometimes over generations, to walk around it rather than to name it. And that's why they bring in someone like me, because they're stuck.
Hmm.
They even with the best advisors, they're stuck.
Yeah. So, as I can see from the list of participants here, there are quite a few people who would like to develop the same kind of practice and the same skill set, and with enough experience in their own personal careers. How do you advise people to kind of get into this line of business? And I know that we are having conversations and I will make an announcement, but what do you recommend? Because it seems like you kind of stumbled into it and created your own path to the career that you are now flourishing in.
Yeah. So a few things to that answer, and thank you for bringing it up. Um, it is my mission not only to be at servants of the clients, but I am a very true believer in all the good work that the folks at the International Coaching Federation do. I'm a board member, but that's a consequence of I really believe in the mission of the International Coaching Federation, and I'm a big vocal voice to make this a more known coaching direction. So I'm talking here to the coaching community because they already have certain training, certain skill sets to get there. And maybe not me only. There are other great people around there in this family governance field. But I'm very vocal about making this, popularizing this. Also, we just spoke about 80% of global GDP. Now, this is a huge cake, which is big enough for everyone to take a part in, right? So I'm not protecting anything because it's not necessary to do that. I really would love this family business coaching or enterprise family coaching to flourish, to become a household name in this environment. So that's one thing. The second thing is yes, people can train up to do this. They don't need to become coaches. The argument, for example, in the coaching world, we are bringing now a lot of we call this leadership using coaching skills, Lux. It's something that the ICF is launching, and a lot of companies, large Fortune 500 companies, they're training people, managers within their organization to not to become coaches, but to get better coach or some coaching skills that helps them to become better managers. So the case here is, why wouldn't banks and large financial organizations and large accounting firms also start training up their people to use some of that coaching skills just to become better advisors, to be at better service to their clients?
Yeah. And as you know, just as an FYI to the group listening here, that we are working with Renee and Sandy Stewart, who is now our faculty member, on developing that training at NYU as well. We're in the process of, creating that additional certification through NYU. But you know what I was thinking about listening to you. We at NYU, we teach human resource management, and we go through the usual, curriculum, the requirements, sort of the employee value proposition, et cetera, et cetera. And there's obviously nothing, and we talk about coaching skills, but we don't talk about family dynamics. And what's really interesting to me is that we have a lot of international students, that the majority of the international students are really coming to us to learn how to manage their family businesses. And I'm thinking that we don't provide them with those tools. We provide them with the technical skills of, how to set up enterprise level, usually big company, of create big company architectures, designs, measurement systems, et cetera, et cetera. And they're all kind of humongous size. But I believe that there's a huge opportunity in that space, and coaching will be part of the, curriculum to train people how to run family businesses at a smaller scale, and even startups, because I'm working with some advisors in the advisory firms. And what you were describing around family businesses applies to co-founders dynamics, because they become a family. They bring their families, they bring their kids, they're founding a company. And the same type of dynamic picks up, the elephant gets in the room, right? So it's really important. And I'm so glad that our paths cross, because I think there is an opportunity not only in the space of coaching and kind of cultivating that direction, but also in business education, as you mentioned.
Yes.
In business education, so that we can bring this awareness, skill set, and actually help our businesses manage themselves better from this, especially in the age of AI, when transactions are going to be taken care of. So do you have kind of a parting recommendations to people here? I'm sure they're fascinated in how your career kind of evolved and how you found this incredible field of work for yourself. What is your recommendation to people who dialed in from Turkey, from Europe, from all over
Hello, everybody.
the continent, right?
And incredibly honored and humbled. I'm looking to the right side of the screen sometimes because I see people from all over, calling in. Um, if one thing is, once I understood better coaching, I I felt really ashamed about how bad a manager I have been in my life before being a coach, becoming a coach. There's so many mistakes I made in management that I could have avoided by just having a few coaching skills. A few. I'm talking about, maybe um, having 6 times 3 hours of coach training or something like this. Um, and I would have been so much more successful in my career managing teams and large organizations by just having a few coaching techniques. So my recommendation, is get some idea about what coaching is. And there's some great books written about that you can read and try to enact some of those techniques which makes coaching so powerful. Don't, unless of course you want to go that track, or some people. We teach coaching to managers that just want to become better managers, and they do the full coaching training. But that's a big cake to eat. But just a few coaching skills will change your life as a professional. You know what? It could have an incredible beneficial influence on your family life as well. The way you deal with your kids. Now, with my wife, I have to be careful because sometimes I speak in a way says, Renee, are you coaching me? I mean, she understands what I'm doing, so she gets it. But I found it in with families, in my social life, in my professional life, it brought so many improvements to understand a bit more of that coaching. So, and this is not about more tools in your toolbox, another PhD on something. This is really about getting some of those basic techniques and start playing around with them and see how that fits with you and how, if you like it, and how it feels on your system. So yeah, get some coach training or coach type of training.
Thank you so much, Renee. I very highly recommend your book. I know that we're trying to bring you over here to New York, to NYU in the fall. We're talking about that. And most importantly, I'll see you next week in Buenos Aires, right? you're going to come and
Fantastic.
join us at our in partnership with ICF. We are doing a coaching for the future, coaching in the future of coaching in Latin America in Buenos Aires next Saturday, not the next Saturday, Saturday a week after. And so thank you, everyone. We are going to be again in touch with a recording of this webinar. If you have questions to Renee, he's very accessible on LinkedIn, and he also has a beautiful website that communicates very eloquently what he's doing. Really appreciated all the information you provided. Thank you all, and let us be in touch. A very mind-expanding and optimistic, I would say, conversation. We all need some coaching skills in the system, just to
We
deal
do.
with everyday life. So thank you so much. Thank you, everyone. Bye bye. We'll
Thank
see
you.
you
Bye bye,
soon.
Anna. Bye bye.
Bye, Renee. Thank you.